Alrighty, so with a supply chain and outsourcing strategy that has been in place since the late 1990s, China has been a significant factor in how Apple turned into being the most valuable business in the world. And now Apple is looking to move out of China and into other parts of Asia, such as India and Vietnam, and even potentially produce more in house inside of America. Many Apple components, in addition to iPhone assembly, are produced in China, where some experts believe 95% of the world's iPhone supply still originates. This idea to consider moving out of China started earlier this year in May, when Apple's largest iPhone factory, Foxconn, paused production due to in Shenzhen, China, which is also known as iPhone City. An article posted by CNBC around this time mentioned that an increased period of shutdowns can cause ripple effects at other components that can create a shortfall in production. Fast forward to November, when the factory shut down again. Bloomberg then reported that this shutdown could result in a shortage of 6 million iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max units, which means wait times are now extending past the holiday season. The factory was shut down for 5 days due to an outbreak, but the lockdowns caused protests and riots across the city, and these protests further threaten to impact Apple's iPhone output and production. While Apple sources its microchips from several factories in India, Vietnam, and China, by far their largest supplier is the Chinese company Foxconn. Apple has already began making plans to move more of its production outside of China and potentially produce more in-house. Earlier this month, TSM, also known as Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, announced that they are opening a second chip manufacturing plant in Arizona, which raised their investment in the United States from $12 billion to $40 billion. The company also announced it will be producing more technically advanced chips at these factories. This investment by TSM is one of the largest foreign investments in United States history and the biggest in the state of Arizona. Because of lockdowns, the pandemic exposed the United States' reliance on Chinese manufacturers, which resulted in a global shortage of high-tech chips. Beginning in early August of this year, Biden signed the CHIPS and Science Act into law, which allocates billions of dollars to attract manufacturers to create these widely used chips in-house. To encourage investment in American semiconductor production, the law includes $52.7 billion in loans, grants, and other incentives, in addition to further billions in tax credits. Once the TSM plants open, they are predicted to produce enough advanced chips to meet the entire U.S. annual demand for chips. And according to the National Economic Council, the United States won't have to rely on anyone else to make the chips that are needed. The plants are expected to be up and operational in 2024. TSM produces chips for a number of clients, which consist of AMD, Qualcomm, Nvidia, and Apple. According to an article published by Nikkei Asia, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Apple and Nvidia are scheduled to be two of the first customers at the Arizona plant when it opens. Additionally, Apple CEO Tim Cook confirmed in early November that the company will start sourcing chips from Arizona in the year 2024 to diversify its supply chain. This move from TSM to invest heavier in manufacturing in the United States aligns quite perfectly with Apple's decision to pivot production outside of China and into other places. The only thing is that TSM's plants won't be active until 24, but that does give Apple an entire year to figure out a game plan to properly execute. Moving majority of production to in-house should further prevent them from running into the same issues that they've been running to in China, which in turn would boost productivity and profitability. But that is all we know currently about this situation with Apple and their decision to leave China. There could very well be some underlying political reasons behind this move, as China and the United States have been bickering back and forth, but I won't go too far into detail about that. But regardless, I hope you did learn something new from this video, gain some value from it. Maybe consider checking out this video on the screen. I appreciate it if you could leave me a like, maybe drop a comment on what you think of the situation, and also be sure to subscribe for more information just like this.